We look cute. No, there we go. Yes. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another week of Hot Topic Tuesdays. You were a little late on that one. It's your boy Toph.
And your girl Constance.
And we are coming at you from Stanton, Virginia, wearing our best yellow. Stop, doll. You look like Craig from Friday. What's this going on with your hair? You look good. It looks smooth.
Thank you. Yes, I have it pin curled right now because I need to let it sit for a little bit, but I straightened it.
Well, you know your boy just got an old haircut.
I need curls. So I
Here, release one, yeah.
All right, for the humans out there, let's see.
Look at that. Ooh. You know what? So, being in theater, what's it like to be a woman of color in theater when it comes to hair?
Hard.
You do your hair?
I do my own hair. I mean, I kind of had to learn how to.
What about being in theater when it comes to your hair? What are some challenges you faced? Because I myself have faced a few. I was in college and I was doing a play, and the hair designer, she gave me a reference photo for the hair. And it was not a person of color, did not have my hair texture, because as you can see, my hair is very curly naturally. This man's hair was very straight. Yeah. And I remember going up to her and being like, hey, this doesn't suit my hair. And she's like, well, it's just a men's haircut, so. Also, I did a show called The Female Odd Couple, and they wanted me to do a perm, hair straight, yeah, because I was playing, another, ethnicity, and that ethnicity had straight hair.
Make you?
I don't know, but I had to chemically straighten my hair, and I burned it, and I did it myself because they didn't want to pay for it, and they wanted me to slick it back.
I have a very similar experience. I feel like the biggest challenge is that people are not educated, and so I understand, to a certain extent, if you're not working with my hair, my hair is not on your head, you don't know how to deal with it. Just like I wouldn't know how to deal with even your hair. Your hair is different from my hair.
Exactly.
But the point of the matter is that if you're going to be in this industry, and if you're talking about inclusion and diversity, which is awesome, super awesome, we always want to make sure that we are doing the detail. The devil's in the details. So it's one thing to say, oh, we want to have a diverse company.
Right.
It's another to say, what does it take to be diverse? How do we make those people who are, different from me feel included and feel seen, which isn't just about having their picture on a playbill or, even them being on the stage. It's what happens outside of that. So something like hair, which, for a lot of people, hair is important, but I want to say hair is very special for Black women because, it's a rite of passage in terms of going to the salon.
What have you done to correct that idea and to kind of approach it from a knowledge point of view of saying, hey, you don't know about this, let me educate you?
Just that. I think the worst thing that anyone can do is go guns a-blazing. My take on it was very similar to yours. I was doing a show where I was one of the leads, and one of the renderings or one of the reference photos was of a white woman with curl ringlets, and they were like, can you do this? And I was like, no. Can you find me a photo of someone who looked like me back in whatever time that was in, so that I could then reference that photo? And the fact that I had to ask for that is an issue in and of itself.
Yeah.
The fact that it's not the expectation. Because imagine if we walked into a room filled with people who looked like, I don't know, Brad Pitt, you're blonde, blue-eyed, blah, blah, and we said, here's a picture of Denzel Washington. Can you do that to your hair? It'd be laughable. You'd laugh at it. It'd be like, oh. But on the other end, it's you're expected to, adapt.
Theater is constantly evolving, and not just evolving when it comes to, plays and stuff, but also how we move as a unit and as a community. And now that we are including more diversity, I think that is an important component.
When you walk into a dressing room, for example, I was with the company for quite some time, and they had products in there that were Suave and Aussie, things I don't use for my hair. And I remember being like, okay, whatever. But then I started to put together, as I spent more time, that oh, the theater is providing this. So where's my stuff? And instead of going in, again, guns a-blazing, not doing that, meeting these people from a point of I want to educate in hopes of changing and enlightening, let me educate them. So I started a blog called Afros and Shakespeare. And on that platform, I talked about the items that you should have in your dressing room if you're going to have actors of color. And since that time, they have incorporated those products that they were excited to
and receptive to that, because it is, like I said, we are constantly evolving, constantly changing, and in order to do that we have to hear each other out. And I mean, on both ends, like you said earlier, we can't be angry. We don't make change with that. We have to come at it from an understanding point of view. So yeah. Well, that's wonderful.
And so we got this question last week. We didn't answer it because we kind of said something similar, so we try to not like repeat the same answer, so you guys can get a whole bunch of information from us. But we are going to answer this because we think that we can talk about it a little bit deeper, which is, what draws you to Shakespeare, particularly being an African-American actor? What draws you to Shakespeare?
So being a person of color in Shakespeare is something that I struggled with for a long time. I think being a person of color in theater is something I struggled with for a long time, because the theater I grew up with and the film that I grew up with and the movies I grew up with, they all included a lot of white people. But with Shakespeare, I feel like that is it is so open to interpretation. It's for everyone inclusive. I think that it's not just for people of color. I think that's why I love it, because it's not just telling one person's story. It's telling everyone's story. It's thank you. That's a word. That's a word. A human story. And so I will say I was inspired to see a person of color on stage, but I could have been inspired just as easily seeing that person telling a story. My first exposure to Shakespeare was actually at the American Shakespeare Center. Yeah, I've told you this. Yeah. So it's funny, we come around full circle, and I'm so excited to explain this story. So when I was a freshman in high school, back in I saw A Midsummer Night's Dream. It was the touring production. I actually believe Chris Johnston was in it when I went back to see the archival footage. But I went to go see A Midsummer Night's Dream my freshman year of high school. It was my first ever production of Shakespeare, and I came to see it here at American Shakespeare Center, and I was blown away. The actor playing Oberon was an actor of color, and I know that certainly inspired me to continue doing theater, because that was, like you said, the human story, and I wasn't used to seeing that. And I have to thank the ASC in ways, because that inspired me, but also now I'm back. And I did A Midsummer Night's Dream. So a big reason why I took this tour was because they were doing A Midsummer Night's Dream. It was like coming around full circle. So cool. Yeah, back in 2000, I went to see it, and it was amazing. What draws me to Shakespeare is that it is a human story, and that's simply that. So there's another question that we need to answer, and that is, what workout routines do you do, and what meals excite you? Like healthy meals. Like, do you have a healthy... Obviously, I cannot answer this.
Are you kidding me?
I can't.
Ladies and gentlemen, look at this fine specimen.
I don't work out.
My dad calls this his taco meal. He's like, Topher loves having his taco meal. It's his signature, his taco meal.
I do. What workout routines do you do, especially now during quarantine, and like what meal plans excite you?
So workout routines, I love to go for runs, and I think at the very least going for a walk. It's also, especially during quarantine, we're all stuck inside. I know people go for hikes. I'm not a hiker, but I know people go for hikes.
Are there any workout videos or things on YouTube?
Yes. So if you have, I'm sure that it's not just for iPhones, but if you go and look up Nike Runners Club, NRC, there's an app, and it's free. Oh yeah, I did. It's a free app, and it's really awesome whether you're going for a run or going for a walk, just to like keep track of your miles and keep goals. So I would definitely recommend Nike's Runner Club. And in terms of meals, one of the things I've been doing, because I think another part of this question was like, I feel like I'm really sad eating alone, and like, because you can't go out and have brunch or whatever with friends. So what I would recommend is looking up on Pinterest or what have you, Instagram. I know Instagram has a whole bunch of pages.
Oh yeah,
where they
BuzzFeed. I love BuzzFeed.
Yes, where they have like recipes. And I think if you see something that's like, whether it's healthy or not, you just gonna go for a run if it's not.
Because that's your business.
That's your business. If you see something that you're like, oh my goodness, that looks delicious, try it. The worst thing that can happen is it sucks. But I've made ramen. Delicious.
Oh, it was good.
Had ramen. I've just made strawberry cupcakes from scratch last night.
Yeah. Let me tell you, so my mom had this old George Foreman, and she was like, my parents call me Chris. They said, Chris, take it home with you, and I did. And let me tell you, we just unpacked this like, I want to say at the very beginning of quarantine, and I will tell
we
you,
forgot how good
George Foreman will change your life, baby. But yeah, and it's healthy. So yeah, do it the healthy way. Do you, and do what makes you feel happy.
So, our next question. What do you think theater companies can do to be more appealing to diverse audiences? I will repeat. What do you think theater companies can do to be more appealing to diverse audiences?
Theaters have already been doing it. By casting people of color. I think, and I mean of all color. I'm not when we say people of color, we don't mean just our people, like people of like Black people, or we mean Asian people, we mean Hispanic people, we mean
anyone that's not white.
Anyone that's not white.
But also keep casting white people.
Keep casting white people.
Cast the best person.
Cast the best person where you see is fit, but tell those stories in a way that's honest.
Here's what I think. You got to tell different stories. Change up the way you're telling these stories, right? And it's not just about like diversity in terms of like the outer layer, but the inner layer. Like what about representation for the LGBTQ community? Yeah. I think that's really important. So in terms of encouraging diversity, it has to be met with more than just the outer layer. Like how can we be diverse in ways that isn't just about the external? And I think if you go from that approach, even like these plays that are like, all female cast of Hamlet, or whatever.
Yeah.
It's like, like that's cool.
That's exciting.
What's that about? Or like when they do the gender swap.
I think too, same with me playing Mrs. Jennings,
Right.
and then also I believe Ben Kearns played the nurse in Romeo and Juliet years ago.
Yeah.
But I think, like I said, going back to the idea of making it genuine, you're not playing a gender, you're playing a human, which goes back to the question earlier. We are playing humans who have a story. We are not playing gender. We are not playing race. We are not playing, although some plays deal with race and gender, and you can do that.
Let that be the choice.
Let that be the choice, and let that be the strongest choice.
I think the worst part is, I feel like you can stumble upon happy accidents, but I feel like when it comes to telling a story, that everyone involved needs to know what that story is. Like, I think it's the worst when
everyone has to be on the same page.
Exactly. When you go and you see a play and you're like, you're in a different play. This is not the same play that these other people are in. And why is that? Like, where were the wires crossed, if you will? So like, I think when it comes to diversity, sometimes the wires are still crossed because people's idea of diversity is very limited. They are often thinking like Black, white, or like, man, woman. But it's like there are so many other ways that we're diverse that isn't just external. Prime example of ASC doing something really cool like that, I think, is especially in this Renaissance season, because that's the one I was just in. Jessica played Benedict, so not only a woman, but a African American woman. So like, and so people have seen Much Ado. And it's not that we're not telling the Much Ado story, but it's how are we telling this particular story, and through the eyes of a woman. And she was playing the person, the Benedict, but like, what does that mean through her experience? Which is always, always really cool when you diversify what that looks like.
I believe those are all the questions that we have for this week. So we want to thank you all so much for tuning in. Like I said, please ask us any and all questions in the comment section below. We hope that you are enjoying these videos. We want them to be interactive. It is a discussion panel, and we love you all so very much. Stay safe. Keep washing your hands. I'm so tired of saying this. Please wash your hands. We can't move forward unless you wash your hands. So enjoy, and we'll see you next Tuesday.